Let us first look at the following video excerpts by pinpointing some easily observable features. Variety is one of the general features of dance dynamics that can be readily seen. 3 performers interact with percussive, more languid, and some changing movement qualities. Repetition of the same movement quality is another feature that can be noticed with ease. While the first example shows a repetitive, resilient walk, in the second, a repetition of jerky movements is performed with different arm and body gestures. Contrasting qualities enhance each other. The smooth interaction between the 2 dancers contrasts with faster outbursts. The 2 qualities clearly stand out from one another. Let us observe the following excerpts from the point of view of phrasing of movement energy. Vera Maletic classified phrasing into 8 main types. In this phrasing type, the movement energy does not change. The right arm of the performer moves with an unchanging, even quality from the beginning till the end. In the next excerpt, 3 even phrasings follow one another in the performance of the 2 dancers. Watch again the first even phrasing, the second, and the third. The performance quality increases in its intensity. As you can see, the momentum and the speed of turning gradually increases until stopped. Increased control suggests that the performer is approaching something dangerous. An impact occurs when the increase builds to a climax. The performer's final lunge shows a strong and sudden impact. The 2 leg kicks are also impactive. In this example, a sequence of several impacts is performed with arms, legs, and the entire body. energy can decrease from a greater to lesser intensity. Dancer's turning gradually decelerates, creating a decreasing phrasing. In the second example, the tense taut pull between the two dancers gradually decreases. The decrease can follow an initial outburst. Movement actions of this sequence are initiated with a light impulse, after which the energy gradually diminishes. Here, a series of strong impulses conveys an agitated mood. Increasing, then decreasing phrasing can occur in a variety of movement qualities and body actions. In this sequence, all the arm swings are performed with increase-decrease in speed and weightiness. Turning jumps and leaps are also performed with increase-decrease in aerial quality. A sequence of exercise-like lateral swings precedes a dance excerpt. Here, a series of fast-paced increase-decrease swings is performed with arms and torso gestures. And a roll. Decreasing, then increasing phrasing can occur gradually or with a decreasing impulse and increasing impact. The dancer is gradually releasing from an arching tension and is gradually returning to it. The impulse in the torso can be seen as a preparation for the increasing side fall. Both dancers perform decrease-increase phrasings as impulse-impact. A sudden exertion of energy, which can be repeated and or followed by stillness, is referred to as accented phrasing. Intermittent sudden stops form several rhythmic entities of accented phrasing. Several jerky accents performed with the right arm are followed by even phrasing, and the sequence ends with one more gentle accent. An uninterrupted series of sudden repetitions creates vibratory phrasing. Fast, repetitive hand movements, shaking an imaginary red cloth in front of a bull, create a series of vibratory movements. The entire body also can perform vibratory phrasing. Repetitive rebounding qualities make up resilient phrasing. It can have three emphases: In this resiliency, there is equal emphasis on strength and lightness, a kind of oscillation between these qualities. Here, several rebounding or bouncy steps create elastic resiliency. Elastic or springy resiliency can be seen in these rebounding jumps. The emphasis in this resiliency is on lightness. Performers' hops and leaps have an airborne, buoyant resiliency. The juggler's manipulations also have a buoyant resiliency. The emphasis in this resiliency is on heaviness or weightiness. This hip-hop sequence starts with weighty resiliency and then becomes more bouncy. The performer appears bogged down with weighty resiliency. Phrasing of movement actions can be performed in 3 different ways. In most of the sequences observed, the phrasing was performed one after the other, or consecutively, with various body parts or the entire body, such as in the following examples. Here is a series of weighty, resilient moves that occur consecutively. Look again. 2 drops, lowering and rising, ending in an impact. The even movements of the legs rising follow each other. An accent precedes an increasing drop, followed by even lowering. Different parts of the body can perform different phrasing types at the same time or concurrently. While fast-turning steps produce vibratory phrasing, the right arm raises and lowers with impulsive phrasing. The sequence ends with an increase-decrease of the whole body. After 3 consecutive moves, the performer leans backwards evenly, as the foot repeats several short increase-decrease rotations. Watch again. The rotations continue while the leg is lowering evenly, till the entire body collapses with an increase. When actions of various body parts begin, before the phrasing of the previous action has finished, overlapping phrasing occurs. Here is an example of overlapping, consecutive, and concurrent phrasing. It starts with an increase-decrease drop. Two even arm gestures overlap with the torso recovery. Bending and stretching of the foot initiates overlapping eye, head, arm, and finger movements. The overlapping movements are even except for vibratory fingers. overlapping, overlapping. Consecutive leg rotations continue with concurrent vibratory legs, and increase-decrease arm gestures end with an impact. After having viewed phrasing types and sequencing separately, let us observe it on two longer sequences seen before. Contrasting phrasing types alternate in this sequence. Let us first trace even phrasing during the unfolding of the first gestures. The lowering and rising of both dancers, their turning over on the floor, and the final lifting and lowering of the head. This time, let us focus on the contrasting qualities of the increase-decrease scooping turn and the increasing lowering. Now, both dancers perform a fast decrease-increase launching on the floor. The impulse into impact becomes even faster in the final moves. This example has different types of phrasing. Let us start with identifying even phrasing first. Such as in rejoining hands with the trio and the change of group formation. Two light impulses with the knees provide a little punctuation here. This time, let's pinpoint the accents, such as in the reaction of the second mover, and the two jerks of the third dancer. Finally, let's identify the impacts in addition to all the other phrasings. Watch the first gesture. Impact even. Two accents. Even transition. Impulse, impulse. Accent, accent. Impact and impact. Rudolf Laban developed the effort theory that considers various movement qualities and describes specific coloring or the texture of movement. Single movement qualities seldom appear in isolation. Let us view some examples that show a predominance of one effort quality. The performer alternates direct, straight-reaching gestures with indirect, flexible ones. Some changes in time are also noticeable. The dancer performs all the actions with strength or firmness, while the strand of bound flow is also noticeable. This example shows a predominance of light, fine touch qualities that are combined with varying time, space, and flow variables. Repetitive sudden leg gestures also show some light and direct quality. In this example, the performer sustains tempo during her advancing. Here, predominant bound flow is coupled with sustainment and some instances of suddenness. Free flow and fast tempo are generated by most of the movement actions in this example. Combinations of two motion factors are referred to as inner states or states. Such combinations are observable in movement transitions and in some dance sequences. This sequence shows the transition from a brief dreamlike or daydreaming state in which the performer engages weight and flow elements that oscillate between their polarities, followed by her awake direct and sudden prancing, though strength and bound flow also are noticeable. Here she is returning to the dreamlike state. You will first see a ballet adagio-like sequence that displays aspects of space and flow. From a direct, first bound, then more free-reaching into direct, changing into indirect and free, and continuing with fluctuations between direct-indirect and bound-free qualities. In contrast, you'll see a tap dance sequence that shows rhythmic variations in qualities of weight and time. Some stronger and lighter taps alternate with faster and slower tempi. At times, though, some flow qualities appear in the arms. In the following somewhat ritualistic sequence, variations of space and weight qualities are noticeable. Direct into direct strong with sustained time. Into some indirect, followed by more direct and light. The repetition is direct light, direct strong and sustained, the sequence ends into indirect and sustained. Predominant flow and time fluctuations can be seen in this mobile sequence. Predominant free into bound, accelerating and decelerating. Only towards the end, some spatial directness appears. In movement and dance expression, clear combinations of three motion factors are frequently noticeable. Such movement qualities are referred to as drives. In some everyday and dance actions, emotional participation that manifests in the flow factor is not required, and space, weight, time combinations are most appropriate. Kneading the imaginary dough includes transitions from gliding to pressing actions interspersed with some dabbing actions. Here, basic effort actions are performed with the entire body, such as slashing, pulling, punching several times, into ringing, into floating, some flicking dabs, ending with gliding. In emotionally emphasized drives, the flow factor replaces qualities of space. The dancer lashes out wildly as though chasing some nightmares. Free flow, strength, and speed are prominent, while spatial clarity is in the background. This excerpt also shows an emotional state in which components of flow, weight, and time are in the foreground. In this drive, space, flow, and time are emphasized, while bodily sensing associated with the weight factor is in the background. The dancer appears pursuing some imaginary path with directness, free flow, and some acceleration and deceleration. In this example, the performer stares at a situation that causes abrupt, sudden, and bound arm and torso jerks. A more timeless, spell-like drive emerges when the flow factor replaces qualities of time. The performer's tentative gestures show bound flow, lightness, and a predominant directness as though spellbound. The couple is fascinated with each other, as though there is an eternity for their interactions that show predominantly space, weight, and flow variations. Finally, let us observe phrasing as dynamics macrostructure together with effort, its microstructure. The even phrasing sections are colored by sustained time, some spatial directness in the beginning, bound and sustained while turning on the floor, and direct, sustained, bound at the end. Interrupting these sections are an increase-decrease in weightiness and free flow. Follow sudden free decreasing and increasing into sudden bound. When repeated in a faster tempo, some strong weight is added in the impulse impact. From the predominant combination of effort variables, one can deduce two predominant and contrasting drives, the vision and the passion drives. Passion in all the outbursts, and vision in the beginning, and again at the end. Watch for the opening gesture of the sudden strong impact that recovers with even sustained quality. It triggers two sudden bound accents, followed by even sustained qualities, punctuated by light sudden impulses initiated by the knees. The third dancer now performs two sudden bound accents, then pulls with a strong sudden free impact and another sudden bound impact. From the predominant combinations of effort variables, one can notice that performers in this scene are coming in and out of passion drive, with some instances of the near state and the mobile state.